Hello, everyone, and welcome to Those Forking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, TV, movie, pop culture, fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Natasha.
And I'm Christine.
And today we're going to be discussing our relationships to sports, like the sports fandom. And it's going to be interesting. Are we a part of it? It's going to be interesting
Sports.
Deep dive. Sports. And also, like, of course, this is inspired by Miss T Swift and her new relationship. So don't get scared off by the sports thing. It's going to be funny because we don't have a relationship.
We don't have a strong relationship with sports, but I think that's what will make it an interesting deep dive to like go into these little crevices and why we don't and all that jazz. So I think it's going to be a fun, interesting discussion. I don't know why anyone would get scared off with us talking about sports. We're clearly not going to be talking about sports in the way that you usually hear sports talked about by dudes. Because we're not like enthusiasts. But before that, we're gonna roll into pop culture news. Snap, crackle, pop culture news. Natasha, you haven't added any snap, crackle, pop culture news in a while here.
That's because you cover all the bases.
All the news.
I know. You know why? It's because the strike. If the strike was not happening, I would have had a lot of news. Remember the one tidbit you're like, oh, we're going to go see this movie. And I'm like, no, we're not. It got pushed out. Like, there's all this news that happened that I can't talk about, unfortunately.
Well, the writer's strike is... Speaking of strikes, the writer's strike has been resolved. They got a WGA, got an exceptional deal with the AMTPTP. I almost got it. Did I get it? AMTPP?
AMPTP.
I was so close. So woohoo for the writers. And SAG is negotiating with the AMPTP this week. So fingers crossed they come to an exceptional deal as well, and they do it soon so entertainment can start rocking and rolling again, because this fall season we are going to be feeling the WGA strike. Because unlike the SAG strike that everyone was like immediately feeling because the actors disappeared, the writers write ahead of time, like 6 months ahead of time. Yeah. So you will feel that on a 6-month delay.
I already I have people like in the industry who work at the studios, and they're like, we have nothing on our slate like after Christmas. Like there's nothing. Mm-hmm. So
that's gonna suck. Already on the fall slate, there's a lot of just reality TV. So it's gonna be a lot of reality TV for a while the writers now start writing. Next on the docket here, we've got today in Taylor Swift. This weekend there was a Jets Chiefs game in New Jersey. And my home state, Taylor Swift was there and went to the game with Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, Sophie Turner, Sabrina Carpenter. All these people are Hugh in Jackman. My home state. Hugh Jackman. And
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, yes. So many names. And I'm just like, God damn it. They're all just there, and I'm not. I'm not there to point a camera at their box. It was a lot of fun going to Twitter at the end of the day because I was writing that day, and I was like, come 10 o'clock, I was like, okay, I'm off the clock. I can look at Twitter. And I was just texting Natasha like giddy all night. I was like, Sophie Turner, Sabrina Carpenter. Like watching these videos of Taylor, like with Blake leaning into her and being all cute.
There was like a video of like Well, also Blake's sister was there, Robin. And the three of them were next to each other, and Taylor was like, they were like trying to look for him, and I think they found, like, they spotted him. And then Blake's like, oh, he's looking over, and then they're like giggle with each other, and then like she hits Taylor's hip, and then Taylor like does a little wiggle, and then she's like holding Robin's hand. It's just like so cute. It's just like such new relationship vibes with like your bestie.
Yes, it really was that like giddy, oh, I like this boy crush vibes happening.
It wasn't as, obviously it's her second weekend going, but it wasn't as exciting, wasn't as exciting as last weekend. And
well, obviously, because she showed up out of nowhere and no one was expecting it. This time, everyone was like, oh my God, she's here again. But it's not the same as the first time. And it was a very, like, New York theme. Everyone came in black. There was also a Giants game at MetLife. And I am embarrassed to say that a Taylor Swift ad came up and the whole stadium booed. I was like, wow, someone's jealous that Taylor Swift isn't dating their team. But also, like, booing Taylor Swift, a woman who's not on any team because they're not dating someone on your team, is bad karma. And guess what? The Giants lost 3-21 to the Seahawks. Like, wow. They lost big time. And dude, I hope you don't boo her again. That's really bad sportsmanship, and I hate that shit. Like, when I I went to 3 BU hockey games in my entire Boston University career because I don't like sports, but people love the hockey there. And they would boo for BC when we weren't even playing Boston College because they were our, quote, nemesis. And I was like, this is such poor sportsmanship. This is bad karma up the ass. You do not boo another team. And the same thing with like... with Fenway Park and the Red Sox. No fucking booing just for human beings on a different team. Cheer for your team.
Yes. Also, today in Taylor Swift news, I have something.
Okay, spill.
The night before, they all went out on a girls' dinner.
Oh, yeah,
and
I know.
Patrick Mahomes' wife was there, and like I think Travis Kelce's manager's girlfriend was there, and obviously we had Blake and Sophie and her longtime friend Ashley. Blake and Taylor were holding hands, very cute.
They were all linked arms, being cute besties.
Honestly, it was very fun to see how close she is to Blake in all of this.
I already knew this, but it was just, yes, fun to see them outside publicly together with her and Ryan. And I love that Ryan's like in the background of the there's these paparazzi pictures from like their lunch out together. And I was like, Taylor steps out with Blake Lively. And then in the background of the picture is Ryan.
It was their daughter's birthday. It was their daughter's birthday dinner. Like, Taylor steps out. Yeah, okay. There's also a photo of Taylor grabbing Ryan's arm around, like grabbing his arm, and he's trying to talk to her, and she's like into the game.
Oh, I saw them hugging, I feel like, at the end of the game. I just love this. On Twitter, there was just so many fun tweets. Like, I love how Taylor Swift adopted Joe's ex the second they filed for divorce. And there's this one with this picture from like 2014. I don't know if everyone's probably seen it, but it was like 4th of July party, and it was all the couples like sitting on their significant other's lap. And one of those couples was like, was it Taylor and Hiddleston at the time, or Taylor and Calvin? I don't even know. But Ryan was there with Blake, and this tweet says Ryan is truly one of the girls. Like, he's been through it with it. I can't even talk. Okay. Ryan truly is one of the girls. Like, he's been through it all with us. And he really, like, all the guys have changed.
This like throuple that's happened with the three of them, it's not a throuple, but it just very much reminds me of how single I am and how close I am to like some of my friends' husbands, like Heather and Cole and Kayla and Matt, and it's just it's fun because I can see
nice
myself
when you're
in
friends
that.
with both of them. Yeah. I mean, that's what happens when you're single in late 20s, early 30s. And your friends are married. And it's great when the significant other is like cool enough that you can be friends with them too. All right. I've got a lot of Percy Jackson news today. It's very exciting. So it has dropped that Rick Riordan has co-wrote 8 of the upcoming episodes of the Percy Jackson show, which is super exciting to me. And that each episode is going to be an hour. And Rick Riordan will have a cameo in season 1. So I'm very excited. There's a new trailer for Percy Jackson that everyone's talking about. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm just really excited about this show. And that now that we're coming closer to the strike ending, I'm getting more excited because hopefully soon we can actually talk about things publicly about the show.
I haven't really thought about Halloween because I'm like, oh, the strike's happening, and now like it might end soon, and I'm like, oh fuck, what? Knocks on wood. What costumes am I gonna do? I don't know. Because I have all of these backups that I was gonna do like musical theater and shit like that. And I'm like, wait, what if it ends?
I'm really hoping this week we come to an end with a SAG strike.
I really hope.
And lastly, on the news doc today, I have to mention again, did somebody mention Survivor? Because I have a new book coming out. Survivor started up again. Season 45 started last week. And I have a new book coming out May 21st, 2024 called Attached at the Hip. And it's available for pre-order now. There is a link in our show notes, and I will be reminding y'all a lot because my publisher made a point to remind me just recently that pre-orders are even more important than they were before, Christine. So please keep pushing pre-orders. I'm like, oh shit. I thought I was, but I'm going to keep doing it. So pre-orders are super, super important to the release of any book right now, and super important to an author's continued authoring career. So if you are at all excited about my new book, please, I would really, really appreciate your pre-order. The link again is in the show notes, or you can go to any book site and type in Attached at the Hip, Christine Riccio, it'll pop up. And that pre-order makes a big difference for all of the upcoming life of the book. So thank you. If you haven't heard the elevator pitch yet, it is like Survivor meets a rom-com. It's an adventure rom-com. You don't have to have watched Survivor at all. There is no requirement there. You don't have to have liked Survivor. This is a rom-com twist on the whole idea, so it's very different, but like Survivor fans will like it, and I think if you like the book, you'll be like, oh, maybe I want to watch Survivor. Anyway, that is Attached at the Hip. That's my new book. I'm so excited about it, and I just handed in the final draft, so I get to make no more changes. It is done.
I elevator pitched it to Taya and Liam at lunch on Saturday, and they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's really good. Taya had some ideas for you for TikTok, but I told her to tell you because you'll listen to her.
Please tell me. But also, I just remembered, and I just lost it when you said something about Taya. Hold on. It was something about the book. Fuck. Oh, okay. And also, they really want me to push to add it on Goodreads, because I guess that really helps get the book like the algorithm helps people see the book more. So add it on Goodreads for free, really easy. And if you can't afford to pre-order it, asking your library to pre-order the book is really helpful too, because then more people can access the book once it comes out because the library has it. So that's really helpful. Thank you all so much for all of your pre-ordering and support and helping me launch this book, and patience as I remind y'all from week to week.
I'm adding it on Goodreads right now, so everyone else should too.
Thank you. I have so much
read.
PTSD around Goodreads because that's where like people would, circle around to attack it before it came out. But over there, it seems like people have been really nice so far. So I'm hoping the era of attacking Christine's book before it comes out on Goodreads might be done. Thank you all so much for your support and kindness. And I hope you love this book as much as I do. I'm obsessed with it. Obviously, I've said it a million times. Okay. What right now? Natasha,
Woo!
What have you been reading?
Okay, I'm still reading the same 2 books. So I'm physically reading Assistant to the Villain by Hannah May.
Okay, nice.
Mayer. And
then did you forget her last name?
I did forget her last name. And then Soul of Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I'm listening to that. And then I just bought Fourth Wing. So the plan is to finish those 2 books and start Fourth Wing. And hopefully be done by the second one comes out.
Nice. Well, if you start it, you probably will, because you can't put down Fourth Wing.
I'll have to start it then after I do all my costumes. So, like, I'll probably start at the beginning of November.
Or you can get the audiobook. I heard it's really good, too. And listen
but should I read it physically or should I listen to the audiobook? Like, which do you think is going to be
You can do either. It's not... The fantasy isn't that heavy that you need to, read it with your eyes. But... at the same time, there are sexy scenes, and I find that sexy scenes are usually better when you read with your eyes. I mean, I haven't read that many books via audiobook with sexy scenes except for Sarah J. Maas, and not the biggest fan of listening to the audiobook sexy scenes versus reading it, except for the Silver Flames graphic audio, which is like a full cast, and it's amazing. I listened to our Akamath chapter this week, because I have the graphic audio for Akamath too, and it was just, well, I don't like the voice for Rysand, which really kind of turns me off of it, but the Adder voice was amazing. It just scared me. All right, that's irrelevant.
Oh, Alex wants to read Fourth Wing. Do you think he'll like it? Because I have an inkling that
everyone will. Everyone will like Fourth Wing.
Okay. Because I was like, I'm like, Alex, this is like one of my like I feel like it's a romantic fantasy. He's like, it's about dragons. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
it's both. It's both. I think he'll like it too. It's really like fast paced, so I feel like if he, I think he'll definitely like it.
Oh, Alex will definitely like Scythe by Neil Shusterman.
Oh, he'll definitely like
Naomi
Scythe.
just said that.
Yeah,
that one's. I just got. It was so. I'm sorry. This is like very different offshoot. I got all of my guy friends to read Red Rising very recently. For some reason, it took them 5 fucking years. But they're all fucking obsessed, and they've read way past beyond where I've read. But like Alex is obsessed, and Dakota and their best friend Tim. It's
literally, I was at a baby shower this weekend, and I was talking to one of my neighbor's friends. It was her baby shower, and her husband, and Red Rising just came up organically because he was talking about books he's gotten at Comic-Con. And he was like, I can't believe I got Red Rising there by Pierce Brown. And I was like, wait a minute, did I tell you that, like, I know Pierce? Like, have I talked about this before? And like, I just read Red Rising? I was like, no. And then I felt really weird because this other woman that I like barely knew, I felt like I was like being like, I know Red Rising author.
I know. I had a very similar experience just at Target when we picked up Fourth Wing with Taya, and I was like showing books to Taya that I read or I like know the authors too. And then this lady, she's like, yeah, this author, she's really good. I'm like, oh yeah, Colleen Hoover? Yeah.
Wait. This is we're really going offshoot here, but I went on a first date like back in 2016 at a Barnes and Noble, and I was like, I must have sounded like the most name-dropping human being in the world. Like, I literally, the entire YA section, I was like, oh yeah, I just interviewed that person. Like, oh my God, yeah, I know them. They're great. Like, I was just like, it was literally like every book in 2016. I was like, oh yeah, that's Sarah J. Maas. I just did an event with her. It was ridiculous. And
I say it like I go over there. I'm like, yeah, they're my friends. I'm just saying hi.
yeah, I know. It's you feel this weird like comfort around their books because you're like, oh yeah, I know them and love them, and I've read these. Nicole says that's a cool first date. I'm just gonna right now. Don't recommend going to Barnes & Noble on a first date if you are a book lover, because if you don't like the person, like if it ends up not going well, the date never ends, because Barnes & Noble is so big and you love looking at books and they'll want to show you all books. And even on a second date, I went to Barnes & Noble once and I ended up feeling like an asshole. So I just wait like a month in to take them to Barnes with you.
I feel like it's a relationship type of date. Like you go to Barnes and Noble and like you pick them out a book, and they pick you out a book. Like that's a farther in.
That's
type
a fun
of thing.
date. Nicole said a fifth date, and I think that's a good number. Like you know each other, and you're obviously kind of in it if you're going on your fifth date. But yeah, bookstores are great, and I love bringing people there because they have a lot to talk about. But again, if you're like first or second date, they don't have as much to say. They might get bored, or you might be like, "This is long. Get me out of here." So, yeah, okay, we've gotten off topic, but I think this is interesting anyway. All right, I've been reading because we're on what right now books. I've been reading Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods.
Yay.
And I am just having a really great time. Naomi said it's a great place for friendship dates, and it is. I love going to Barnes & Noble with my friends so much. And like when I meet up with a friend I haven't seen in a while that loves books, like going to Barnes & Noble is the best. I just went with Kaden and I went with Tiernan a couple months back. It was great. All right. But I've been reading The Chalice of the Gods, which is the new Percy Jackson novel, and Rick just announced during his tour that there will be a book 2 and 3. Honestly, if you had read his big letter about this series last year, you know that he had a book 2 and 3 outlined. So I was expecting this, but the second book is coming out next September. It is called The Wrath of the Triple Goddess, and the third book will be slated for 2025. So very exciting. And they're like, you know, he made them to go along with the show releases. So that's very exciting. Hopefully the show does really well and we get multiple seasons.
Okay.
All right.
Music.
Natasha, music. What have you been listening to?
Not a lot. Okay, but I do have to recommend this playlist on Spotify, which Alex and I are kind of obsessed with. It's called the Rom-Com Playlist, and it's all of those songs from your favorite rom-coms from the 90s to the early 2000s.
You just said rom-com so weird.
I did. I just took a sip of coffee, so my mouth is kind of dry. But it's all of like those recognizable songs from like your favorite romantic comedies, and it's just a fun listen.
Nice.
It's a vibe.
I have to listen to that. That sounds good. Because I add, when I see a rom-com and I hear a song, I always add it to my book playlist because it gets me in like rom-com head.
Oh yeah, that would be a good like writing playlist then.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I'm still listening to Guts. I'm just be like randomly like, I met a guy in the summer and I left him in the spring. I argued with him about everything. He had an ego and a temper and a wandering eye. He said he was 6'2". I was like, dude, nice try.
Nice try.
Yeah, I know the words now. It's fine. I'm at that phase. But I did just Never mind. Yeah, that's it. All right. Stuff, products. Do you have any recommendations this week? Stuff you're liking that you're using?
Yeah.
What?
So I just became a Selkie affiliate.
Ooh.
So I have been a lover of if you don't know, it is a clothing brand called Selkie. They're the ones who started like the very trendy poof dresses back in 2020 and before. And then they just kind of exploded throughout the pandemic. And I bought my first Selkie on my trip in 2021 to London, and it's been a nonstop love affair with them. So I finally am an affiliate, and that means that I have a code that I can offer people, and it's Tasha Polis, and you get 10% off your order, which is very exciting. And I just got a new dress from their new fall collection. I think it's called... Damn it, what's it called? Anyways, it's
Fall?
like in their new... it has like a London, it's like cottage something like that. I don't know, romantic, whatever. Anyways, I
We'll
just got a
leave
new
it
dress.
in the description.
Yes.
Send it to me and it'll be in the show notes.
And I love it. It's cotton. My favorite types of their dresses are usually their cotton material, because the other material is like plastic and it makes me very hot. So I like their natural threads, and it's very soft, and I love them.
You gotta jump on them ASAP. They just disappear. I'm always like, ooh, I like this one. And then I slowly move to get it, and then it's gone.
Yeah, some sizes sell out really quickly because, like, Christine's, you're size small, right? And so I'm assuming that went pretty fast. Like, my size is a 3X, and that usually goes pretty fast, too, so.
Yeah,
they go all the way up to 5X.
Size left was 6X.
Yeah, 6X.
And whatever I was looking at, and that was they had one left, and it was in 6X. I was like, wow, that went fast. It was just the first ad I saw for it on my Instagram. And I was like, gotta get it now because it's gonna run out. And then it was just already gone. Already gone. I signed up for if it comes back in stock for them to email me.
I know that like the dresses are very expensive, so my hack is usually at the end of the season. So kind of like January, they have these to get rid of stock, they have these sample bags, and they're only like $100, and you can get like a free dress, but you can't pick it. So that's usually how I get like new dresses. And then you can also rent Selkies on Newly, which is the Anthropologie clothing rental thing. You get like 6 pieces per month, and you can try out a Selkie that way, instead of like, dropping cash.
Yeah,
because they are
I was ready to
expensive.
drop cash because I was like, I can wear this to an event and it's gonna be gorgeous. And then I was like, sorry, no sizes. Just one. All right. Well, that's really exciting. Congratulations. And everyone can check Natasha's code. If you don't remember, it's Tashopolis in the show notes. 10% off your Selkie order. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're about to move on to the main discussion. But before we do, I want to take a second. Oh, yeah, I had a thing. Oh, I forgot. I usually don't have a thing to recommend. All right. So I have blonde eyelashes, so it's really hard to make them. Even now with lots of mascara, like you can kind of see my eyeliner, but not the top eyelashes. So I wear like fake eyelashes to events and stuff. But in my day to day, like say I'm going on a date, I don't want to fucking wear fake eyelashes. I want to be like me. So if they like me, they like me and not me with eyelashes. And I know that's kind of weird, but still, I don't want that on me during like a first meeting. Anyway, but then it's hard to get my eyelashes good. And a lot of times they'll like clump together by the end of the day, and I'll try to put more on and it'll get fucked up. And I was Googling how to fix this. And everyone was like, use your eyelash brush. And I was like, eyelash brush? What the fuck's an eyelash brush? And it's like, it's in the shape of a curler, and it has like plastic spokes or metal spokes, and you can like brush it out. so that it like fixes your eyelashes and they unclump and they like are evenly clumped if they're clumpy. And it worked really well. I used it the other day.
Are you
I
talking
was
about
like,
a
wow.
spoolie?
Is that what it's called? They have names?
It kind of looks like a pipe cleaner at the end of it.
No. It looks like a rake, except it's curved like an eyelash curler. And you go like this, and it helps separate them. A spoolie doesn't separate them when they're stuck together.
Yes, it's more like a comb, like a little
It's a
mini
comb. It's a baby comb. Yeah, it's like a mustache comb for your eyelashes.
Where'd you get it?
I got it on Amazon. I watched a beauty blogger, a beauty YouTuber talk about it, and then I just clicked on their link and bought it. Okay. Anyway, we're going to move on to our main discussion. But first, I want to quickly thank everyone listening to the pod. We appreciate you being here so much. If you're not already, we'd love if you followed the podcast for free in your favorite podcast app. It's free, it's easy, and if you're really enjoying it, it really helps us out if you review us really quick on Spotify. It's super easy. You can just rate 5 stars and you're done. If you have the inclination to leave us a quick review on Apple Podcasts, that is super helpful to us too. We really appreciate it. It helps new people find the podcast. And if you are watching on YouTube, we have a visual version on YouTube if you don't know. youtube.com/@those4kingfangirls. There's a video of every single episode where you can watch instead of just listening, if that's your vibe, that's your jam. And you can subscribe for free over there. And you can comment over there, hit the like button. All that helps us out. And we love reading your comments. It's really lovely to hear people talking back because we're talking to each other here. We don't get to hear your thoughts and reactions. So we greatly appreciate your interacting with us on any of those platforms. And if you don't know, you can support the show in a bigger way if you want to. We have a Patreon. So our Patreon has lots of fun perks, and there's different tier levels. At the $5 level tier, which is Team Jacob, that you get the extra show we do every single week called Fangirl Tea Time, where we dig a little deeper into our lives and our personal stuff that's maybe a little too close to home to share with, the full show, but we feel comfortable talking with our Forking Fangirls Patreon community. It's really nice. We've got lots of different perks at $10 level, $15 level. And you can check that out on patreon.com/those4kingfangirls. We really, really appreciate your support because we are a listener-supported show. Maybe you've noticed there's not many sponsorships at all. Hopefully we get another one sometime.
Yes.
But we are a listener-supported show, and you are the reason why we can do this every week, and we really appreciate our Patreon community. Thank you so much. All right. Main discussion time, all right? Sports as a fandom, our relationship with that fandom as fangirls here. So I wanted to start at the very beginning with sports here, Natasha. And I want to talk about when you were a kid. What was the aura around sports, and did you care about any sports as a kid?
My family was not a sports family, I can tell you that.
Sports ball time, Melissa says.
Since I had a brother who was my same age, I was dragged to all of his games, and he did like Little League and he did basketball.
Oh, okay.
So I was at games all the time with my mother and practices and stuff. And that was fun. I remember yes, I was dragged, but I remember my grandpa and my grandma always being there, and it was fun just to see them constantly. Yeah, so I mean, because Alex was involved, we were involved, but other than that, we never watched sports on TV aside from the Olympics. That was huge in our family, and I think because my mom, it was funny because I know my mom grew up with sports. I don't think my dad did. my mom was very into playing sports and doing sports. Like she was very athletic. My dad was not because
What
he had
sports did
arthritis.
your mom play? I just said moms.
I say sports. No, she didn't do a lot growing up, but she and my whole family were very big into skiing. And yes, and any type of like water sports. So water skiing and things like that.
It's like more solitary sports, but like you do with a group, obviously. But
yes,
you're not like on a team. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, my uncle was, I think he did a lot of sports too. But my dad and his sister did not do sports. They're a very artistic family, although he was an engineer. So more like, I guess, math people. But yes, fancy sports. I know. Well, when you live in California and you've got the mountains and the lakes and the rivers, it's very easy to do fancy sports here.
Well,
what about you?
Yeah. So my dad was super into sports. I don't think he stopped being into sports. A huge Yankee fan. So like when there was a game on, my whole house would hear when they were doing well because he was very enthusiastic when they were doing well and very loud when they weren't doing well. And everyone was involved. I hated when sports were on the TV though, and they were always on. It was like you leave, no one's in the room and you'll walk in and like the game is on. And I'm like, why is this on? I hate the sound of games. Just mute it. It's just like constant football games. Like he was watching all the football games too. And so I, by proxy, knew all like the Yankees names in the year 2000. Like I could tell you about like Paul O'Neill and Derek Jeter and David Cohn. Like I know all their names, and but like I didn't like know things except that the Yankees were really good. Like they were winning all the World Series back then. I think they won like 99, 2000, 2003. 2001 maybe. Like the Subway Series was around that time. It was like the Mets versus the Yankees. It was huge, and obviously New Jersey, New York, because those were our two teams. Wow. So like I was there in that, but I didn't really care. I was on the outskirts. Like I cared because I want everyone to be happy. And I've been listening to like the Yankees radio like my whole life growing up because my dad always had it in the car. So that aspect of it, like I kind of cared. And like you, my cousins were all like super into sports and all of them wrestled. So we were like at all these wrestling matches all the time, which is so stressful. And then when my brother came of age to wrestle, it was like a whole new level of stressful because it was like my little 5-year-old brother, and he would get so nervous because he wanted to like impress my dad. And like I remember he threw up at one of the matches, and then we let him quit, I think. Or after that season, he didn't do anymore. And Olivia did like Yeah.
Was wrestling like a big thing in Jersey?
It was a big thing in my family. Oh, okay. I think my dad wrestled a little bit in college. My mom used to do swim. But we didn't have a pool, so that wasn't a thing that she was able to like keep up and do. But my dad always talked about his like short wrestling career. And all of my cousins were like really good wrestlers, like New Jersey, like tournament championship wrestlers. So that was like a thing that, he liked to take us to their matches and stuff. But, and like my other cousins were like getting scholarships. Like all of my family is super like athletic into sports, and all I wanted to do was dance and cheerlead. But like, which is very, like body intensive, but no one likes to consider it a sport, even though like there is competitive dance and there is competitive cheer.
Yes.
And like, especially cheerleading, like you are part of a team, you are doing like really intense stunt work and tumbling, but it's just like, it's like a fight to be like, this is a sport. Like we all went to my cousin's shit. No one came into my cheerleading shit, except my mom.
So frustrating.
And my nana.
Did Olivia do sports?
Okay, so Olivia was like the kid that does every sport for one thing and then quits because she doesn't like it. So she did soccer once, she did basketball once, she did t-ball once, she did tennis once, like she did dance once and then she quit, like she did cheerleading. Cheerleading is the only thing she didn't she didn't quit cheerleading, but she did have a head injury on a trampoline, and then she couldn't do cheerleading during high school. So she tried everything.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing really stuck. My brother did baseball a couple times too. He like tried different sports, but nothing was like his favorite. He did swimming in high school though, so he had that for a bit. But I'm the only person that like consistently did my quote sport, which was dance and cheerleading from the beginning, from 3 onward. And it was great. I loved that. But well, that's not exactly what we're talking about. Like I hated the actual sport stuff that was like considered a sport.
Yes. Katie says, she goes, if you sweat, it's a sport. 3 flights of stairs, sport.
It's sport. Nicole says, does it count as a sport if I sweat while calling the doctor's office?
Is anxiety a sport then?
I know. Yes, my anxiety is sport. Natasha, so did you ever want to play like a sport? And why or why not do you think that is?
No. There's a yes and a no. I did do dance. I did tap and ballet, and I never did jazz. I did dance in high school, like, so I didn't have to do PE. I think there was one time that I wanted to do softball because my friend was doing I never did sports aside from just dance when I was younger. And it just, I had like really painful feet problems. Like I had to I had really flat feet, and I had like orthopedic surgery on them, and
that's rough.
when I was young, and it just all added to my anxiety around activity like that. And honestly, like it ruined anything in my childhood that had to do with me, anything fitness. Just, I began to loathe it and hate it. It was such a scary thing for me to do because of my restrictions on my body. And I was never good at anything aside from when we did like archery and golf, things that are not so intense. And I was really good at swimming too.
Surgery?
When?
How old were you? Well,
I was in 5th grade.
Oh man.
So how old is that? 10?
10.
11? Yeah.
It's
I had to be pushed around in a wheelchair because I was on both my feet.
That's rough.
Yeah. And I was never good at any sport besides, like I said, golf and archery and swimming. I was a very strong swimmer. My whole family were very strong swimmers. My cousins did water polo, but like we're a beach family, so we know how to do ocean.
Yeah.
We do beach. No, I do ocean.
We do beach good.
We do beach good. Yeah, so, yeah, it's just, I never had a good relationship with ever wanting to do a sport because it was just something that I loathed and I did not want to do. And it was terrifying, and I hated it. And I hated running. I hated PE. I hated all that stuff. I usually had to get doctor's notes and would be made fun of at some point. And yeah, which all added to me never working out. And now I do Pilates and I love it. So
yeah, I mean, there are nice forms of exercise, but like when growing up, you're kind of confronted with very shallow views of like what exercise is, because gym class is like run.
Yes.
And but in terms of like I've been trying to like think about when I was young why I didn't want to like do a classic sport, and I think I thought they were so boring through like watching them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did not like watching any of these sports, and I loved watching dance, and I wanted to dance, and I wanted to do like flips and shit. I wanted to do acro and gymnastics. So that's what I thought was exciting. I think probably from the Olympics is where I like learned about, you know, like gymnastics and all that stuff. Yep. Yeah. And I took like, I got so much of my confidence, I feel like, from doing those activities because I was good at them. And like, I was very flexible. Now I'm like, did I fuck up my back just like showing how flexible like I could be? Like I would be like, I would pull my feet like from my back all the way up into my nose, like, and like have so arched, like it was ridiculous. And now I have all these back problems. Like, what did I do to myself? But back then I couldn't even feel anything. Nothing hurt. It was just fun. So in terms of gym though, so you were just talking about how gym, you said they made fun of you for your doctor's notes?
I mean, just like not participating. Like I would have to explain why I was not participating in things, and like watching everyone, and I was like standing off to the side, and it was just like so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, like it was like you couldn't win in gym though, because like I really felt the need to like prove myself through sports on gym, because I was like, oh, I could be good at this, and then people would make fun of me for like being too into gym and being like trying too hard on like when we played soccer or volleyball, like, ugh, that girl's trying. Ew, embarrassing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
it was like you could not win.
Honestly, like filling out this doc was just bringing back so many terrible, awful memories of how much I loathed the PE. We called it PE, physical education.
We called it gym.
But like, did you ever feel like this dread around maybe going into that period? Like, were you ever dreading it? Yeah.
Well, I would dread changing. I hated changing for gym. Yeah. And I hated like the gym clothes smell, and I hated running. Of course, like I remember freshman year for like the physical fitness test, like I would dread the running, but I did it anyway, even though like I felt like I was going to die afterward because I really wanted to win the test. And I remember like I felt like afterward for hours, I was like, I murdered myself. I am dead. And after that, I just kind of walked the mile instead of running.
I did not want to like be at all involved in PE. Like I truly, I think I wanted to join golf, but I also never wanted to like wake up early or do like all the things that my friends did, or they did color guard thing. Like, I'm like, oh, maybe I could do color guard, but I never wanted to do any of that. I didn't want to have any extra thing that I had to do, because I was a Girl Scout. So I did have like my extracurricular, and I did all that stuff. That's a whole other story of being involved in all that. But yeah,
I didn't like gym when I didn't have any friends in the class, because then people would definitely make fun of me in gym. But like if I like when Christina was in my gym class, we could be on a team together. Like it was a different vibe when there was a friend in the class. But I also like, I mean, I loved having cheerleading. Like I loved being part of a thing. I feel like it made my high school experience good, or else I would have felt like just very, I don't know, left out of everything all the time. I don't know. I had my like 5 friends, but like I wasn't going to parties. I wasn't doing things. But But at cheerleading, like, I knew I was really good at this. I loved that all these girls who like seemingly have nothing in common with me because they don't talk to me at school, like, when we get to cheerleading practice, we all have one common goal and we care about it so much. And like, I would, you know, if any weird thing they want to like try stunt wise, like, I'd like, yes, do it, throw me up in the air, because I trust them, and we all trust each other in this implicit way that you never really do with people you don't know very well, except in that environment. Like, so I love that so much, and I treasure those memories and that feeling so much. And I've never really experienced anything like it. Like, I didn't realize it until I was out of it. Just how much you're bonded by having a common goal like that, because there's so little times where you're all on the same page about something, in such an intense way. And
that's
of course, like, physically, you know, working together physically.
I always had limitations on my body, but I did experience that. I did choir from 4th grade to my senior year, and that was so much fun for me. I loved choir because that's coming together, making one voice. And then I did worship band at church. Like, I was very involved at church, and then I was also head of hair and makeup for my drama club. So that's how I was involved at school. The arts.
I feel like having something like that in high school is like really important to just like having a good high school experience, you know, because if you don't have like a thing outside of the school, it's just school, and it sucks. You know what I mean?
Katie says, I definitely had a trauma bond with all the other non-athletic girls in my gym class. I feel that so hard.
Like, I had it with like all of the like oh my god, what am I thinking of? Not miscreants. All like the people who didn't belong. What is the word I'm looking for? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, the misfits. Yes, there we go. I was like, what word is this? All the misfit toys is who I would sit with in gym. And like, we would have this gym bond, but like, we were not like friends outside of gym. But yeah. All right. So do you think like your relationship with like enjoying watching sports or sports as a fandom changed during high school, or was it the same?
I that's the thing. It's like my family was not a sports family, so we didn't have the football game on. But this is going to be a heavy Olympic topic for me because my family is weird, like weird fans about the Olympics. Like, when it comes to the Olympics, like, we were there every 2 years, summer and winter, watching it, literally recording like, that's even now to this day, Alex and I literally just record all the Olympics and all, because we love that stuff. And you know why? I think it's because I like the individual sports and like the sports that aren't like cool and popular. So yeah, and we'll get into that later, but
we can talk about it a little now.
Yeah, I also have something else to add about like I did go to football games when I was in high school, and when I would go, I would only go because I would romanticize the idea that I would meet a cute boy, and I would like to look at all the cute boys on the teams and like the rival teams. And also my big high school crush, which was my brother's best friend, he was a football guy.
Oh shit, what position did he play?
Hold on, I wrote it down. Wait, where did I write it down? Alex, what position did Dakota play? What? Defensive end. He played defensive.
I don't know what that is.
He tackles the quarterback, right? Yes, he tackles the quarterback. And yeah, so I would romanticize the whole thing.
The games were very romanticized in general in high school. It was like the football game, the home game, everyone's going. And it's like, I stood by the sidelines of, I don't know how many fucking games from age 8 to 18. I still don't understand fucking football. Like, it's so boring. I hate it so much. Like, there's so many timeouts. Everything goes so slow. And people explain it to me, and I'm just like, I don't, my brain just goes numb. I'm just like, I don't care. Like, I just don't like it. I think it's such a bad game. Like, baseball, I understand the game. I could play the game. Like, I know how to play baseball. The rules are there. It's easy to follow. It's fun to follow, and it doesn't bore me. Basketball, it's just like they're running all over the place, but I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Football, I'm like, what the fuck is this? That's what I like watched for years.
You know what I realized is because LA, like Southern California, we did not have a football team growing up. We had no football team. We had the Dodgers and the Angels for our baseball teams, and my family, we did love the Angels when they were called the Anaheim Angels. And then our big team though was the Lakers, which was basketball, and I could care less about basketball. But that's why I don't know football. Like, we didn't have a team to cheer.
Like how you're saying with like the football players being cute. Like, I thought no football player was cute. I thought they were all gross. Like, I was just so grossed out by this game. And like everyone went to like the games, and I'm like, I had to go to every game. I was at every stupid game, and I hated them all. Like, I lived for my halftime routine. Oh my God. I tried to like get into like hockey at Boston University because that was their huge thing, but I still found it so boring. Like, everyone's so small on the field, and like I don't know anything about them. This is the thing.
Hockey?
Okay, so I know about hockey. I know what hockey is. Like, I would play hockey in gym, and very aggressively. Like, I would like everything I played in gym.
We would have not been friends. Let's just say that in high school.
Well, I would still be in your misfit group probably. Like, I would sit down next to the girls who had the notes too. Like, it was like the extremes. Like, I just like I can still like see the people's faces like looking at each other and being like, she's embarrassing. Like, but what was I saying? I knew how to play hockey. Like, we don't play football in gym, obviously. We played like, I guess we played that kind with the tags, maybe. Is that what you play in gym? You know what I'm talking about? When you like wear those belts with the tags.
Capture the flag?
Football? No, flag football.
Flag
but
football.
I hated it.
You know what? We used to do that at church. Oh God! Wait. Oh, that just unlocked a memory. Is when
I hate how they would touch each other.
That, well, we used to play with the boys, and then I would be excited because I was like, oh my gosh, what if I get tackled by my crush? And you know what? That shit did happen sometimes, except they were sweaty and gross. And no, we used like they would take our Wednesday night, which was like our group session night, and then they would make it into like a sports thing where we would play flag football, and I'd be like, no. I just had to deal with this at school. Now I had to do it at church.
Like, I didn't want to be in any situation where I had to touch a boy. I
was like, all for it.
I was just thinking, like, when I said that, like, you have to touch people, but cheerleading is such like a hands-on sport. But it's like, obviously we're like throwing each other up in the air, but like touching someone, like running, I don't like the idea of someone chasing you to get something off of you. Like, that's scary. Don't chase me for something.
I would just be like, here, you can have it.
I would like run for my life with so much anxiety. I would just be like going long.
I would get so anxious about any hiding or chasing games. I'm still that way.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Wait, do you remember that game? Like, did you guys play this game where there were 2 pins and someone would guard the pin and like everyone would get a number? And wait, no guards. So there was 2 pins, one on one side of the gym, one on the other, and everyone would have a number, and the gym teacher would call a number, and if it was your number, you had to run out. Oh, wait, there was 1 pin in the middle of the gym. I'm getting so confused with all the games. One pin, and then you had to get it for your team and pass like a certain line, and like your the opposite, another person would have that number and come out, and you'd have to like face off, and someone would have to grab the pin first and run past the line.
No,
That scared
no.
the bejesus out of me.
No, God, no.
Like, that's like a Survivor game now that I'm thinking about it. Like, they play a game like that on Survivor. Melissa said she has pickleball nightmares. I loved pickleball as like a thing in gym because I just got to play pickleball without any aggressiveness.
With the little like the birdie thing, and you have
No, it's not. That's badminton. I loved that too. But pickleball has like a wooden paddle. It's like, it feels silly, and the ball is kind of like plastic with holes in it, and it's
a
like
waffle ball.
A serious sport now. It's gotten very popular. It's not exactly a wiffle ball, but it's kind of in the same plastic family. But yeah, pickleball was fun for me because it was like calm.
I think we. Oh, okay. I'm like, what do we play at the beach?
Melissa says we were aggressive. Those wiffle balls hurt.
It's a cross between tennis and ping pong. Oh my gosh, ping pong! Yeah. My family loved ping pong. My grandparents had a ping pong table, and we were aggressive about that.
I want to steer this conversation to, like, if you had a significant other that was super into sports, do you see yourself getting into sports, like trying to get into sports so that you can enjoy that with them? Because you know how much you'd love, like, if your significant other, like, tried to get into, like, reading a book or something that you liked, right?
I would probably definitely try.
Yeah.
And for the reason that if my parents had been into sports growing up and would have explained it in the way that they explain movies to us, because we were like, what we would do, we would sit around the TV and watch movies. But if we had that for sports, like, I probably would have been more interested, because I was interested when it was the Olympic time, and my mom would tell us like these crazy stories about some of these athletes that she just had like filed away in her brain.
Waiting.
Yeah. And like, if someone was a big fan like of something and they had all these stories to tell me, and then I would sit there and listen. Now my attention span is not as, you know, wide or you know, as, I don't know, long, and I don't take things in as I did when I was a child. But I would try, and I would probably be into it.
Yeah. So I have this whole pitch with like how I could get into sports. And I think like it's been a widely talked about thing, but like sports seasons should open like a reality show season. Like if you gave me backstories of these players, so we have an idea of who they are, and it doesn't have to be long. It can be like a Survivor backstory where we do like a minute dip, and like then more stuff happens, and then like we'll go into another player's backstory, so they're not like back to back to back. And then if like there were talking heads during timeouts, so like we see the players' commentary on certain things, like about certain things looking back in the game, or like looking back on their career, like stuff that's spliced in. So like we know their personalities. Like
yes. I agree with this.
And then like during halftime or commercials, like if we had like backstory, like clips of stuff that they've talked about in their life that's relevant, like just, or get to know them, like where they've worked growing up, and like what their favorite movies are. Like literally, if they framed sports like a reality show, I could be into that.
Well, Melissa says you just need to listen to them mic'd up. It would make the game more fun. And I agree. I would like to hear what their thoughts are.
Yeah, I don't want to just hear them talking about the game is the thing. Like, we need to hear them talk about, like, them as a person, like, well, their family and, like, how they grew up. Like, do they have siblings? How does it feel to be on, like, a football team opposite of your sibling? The podcast that Kelsey is doing with his brother.
Travis
is that his
and
brother?
Jason. Yes.
Yeah, that's his brother, correct? Like,
Yes.
that's genius. That's how people care about your team intimately.
I care
who
about
aren't
them
men.
now.
I feel
Yes.
like men can care about sports even if they don't know the people, then they gradually get to know them because they care so much. But like, I know me and a lot of other women don't care unless we care about the people first.
I think this is the difference between reading a book for the characters and reading it for world building. You know, because like we always need like those like the care. Like I care way
need
more
good
about characters before the fucking world gets built. And like I feel like that's why you were never truly into Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. And
Yes.
Alex, we the three of us have had this conversation before, but it's like Alex could just get involved in something if the world is cool. Like, it's very different how men's brains work compared to girls.
Yeah, well, I don't want to like gentrify this so hard.
True.
Like obviously
Yes.
there's women who can get into stuff and men who don't care because they don't know about the characters. Like, but I just feel like that's the overarching consensus that I've heard as like moving through the world. Like,
Yeah.
but
And I think this is why we like the Olympics, because we have these commentators who are on like the nightly NBC specials, the nightly TV show specials, and they are sharing the backstories of these individual players, and we can get really behind these individual players. Like I typically don't like watching the team sports for the Olympics because I care so much for the individual, like the gymnast, the figure skating, unless it's, you know, pairs, like, you know, even like speed skating, like Apollo Anton Ono, and we've got Michael Phelps and Sean Johnson and Sean White, like all those people, because we care about those individuals, and that's when I can get behind the sport.
Yeah, I have never cared more about the Olympics than I did in like 1996 when Tara Lipinski won. This is so weird because I was 5 and I remember sitting on the couch with my Nana rooting for Tara Lipinski, the youngest gold medalist at the time, to win for figure skating. And I was just like, I'm so close to her age. Like, she's amazing. Like, I don't know. I was so inspired by her and I loved her so much. But to this day, like, I can only kind of make myself care about Olympic stuff that has a routine, like, because I feel like I'm getting to know them through their dance, you know, and their expression. And so like figure skating and gymnastics, and only the women, like I can't watch like the other ones.
Oh, I like the guys gymnastics, because some of it is really different. It's very interesting to see like their strength, like with the horse when they're like doing the saddle horse
I've watched
thing,
it, but like I don't feel as much of a connection. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is because I know more about the women on the team through like hearing, or I relate.
Horse.
I feel like I relate hearing their like struggles and shit. I don't know, but I cared so much about Sean Johnson. But yeah, Tara Lipinski was like, that year is burned into my mind. I think about her all the time when figure skating's happening. I'm like, I wonder what Tara Lipinski is up to.
I was obsessed, and I'm still obsessed with Tessa Virtue and
Is that the couple that is viral?
From Canada? Yeah, and more.
Yes.
What's his name? I wrote it down somewhere.
I don't know, but they're a pair of figure skaters. And I just got into pair figure skating watching them. And that was like in 2017 or something, right? 2016, 2018?
Scott Moore. Yes. Yeah. They've been a pair for a long time, but I think they won gold. Like they won gold, I think, 2-3 years in like 2016, 2020, things like, I think they did something like that. But they and they retired from the Olympics, but they had such amazing chemistry and they weren't together. And it just, you're watching it, you're like, how are these two not a couple? It is absolutely insane. But they're incredible.
There's a story there when there's chemistry. Like, that's why it's fun.
um, and anytime one of their videos like pops up on my TikTok, I will just sit there and rewatch it, even though I've watched their routines multiple times.
Yeah, no, same. Whenever like a gymnastics routine or a figure skater comes on, I'm watching it if it's like the Olympics on my TikTok or Facebook or wherever I'm scrolling. I stop to watch. Like, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name right now. Who's the best gymnast in the world that like from the past Olympics?
Oh,
She had like her own move. Simone Biles.
yeah.
Simone Biles, I've watched her do routines. I don't know if there's the same routine or not, but like whenever I see her pop up, I'm like staring at it over and over again for like 5 go-arounds. She is superhuman, Katie. She's amazing. Yeah, so like the times I find myself caring the most about sports is when it's in a movie. Like that Venus or Serena movie, I was so invested in her budding tennis career, the one with Will Smith. Like I'm like tearing up thinking about it. I was so in it with her. And like Angels in the Outfield, I remember like loving that as a child. And then Ted Lasso, like
Ted
you
Lasso.
care. I've never cared about soccer so hard. Obviously, I don't know why I would. Like, but we know everyone involved. We know the stakes. We care about the people. Like, so you're deeply invested, and that is how I could be invested in a regular team. And I guess if your significant other loved a team, they could do this for you. You know, they could backstory everybody and get you into it.
Like, and you know what? I usually around this time, I love reading a good sports book, a sports romance book. Like, I get very into them. Like the nice like fall football feels. I love a good hockey romance. I love me some sports romance.
Like I love, you know, I was growing up, I could name like if it wasn't a Yankee player, like one sports person that I cared about. And you know who it was? Michael Jordan. And you know why? Space Jam. Like movies.
Yeah, because we knew about
Made
them
me care
through those. Yes.
so much. And like all through my childhood, I was like, so what is Michael Jordan doing now? Like, I didn't know about the shoes. I didn't know about anything except Space Jam.
Katie says, I need a hit musical to make me care about football the way Hamilton made me care about the intricacies of the early U.S. government. Katie,
That's amazing.
That is great. Yes.
Yep. Yep. And like, I don't know, Hamilton made it feel like you were there. So you were so invested. Whereas when you're reading it in the history books, like it depends on your teacher. Like I would have a good teacher that would describe it like I was there. But like if you had an off teacher, like that section of history just kind of like blows by. But like something like Hamilton gets you so invested that you never forget. You never forget what happened there. All right. I think we're going to wrap up. I wanted to quickly ask, like, if you had to pick a sport now to get involved in, what would you pick?
Are you talking like to watch and be a fan of?
Let's do to watch and be a fan of, but if you had to like get involved like physically in a sport, which one would you pick?
Am I saying both?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. To watch and be a fan of, I would like to get into football because I do love this time of year, and Alex had put it on because I did want to watch this weekend's game, and just I love like I would just a reason to be with family and to bring people together. I just love that. So I would like to get into football in that way. And when the Super Bowl is on, I have watched every Super Bowl, okay? But I'm usually sitting there on the couch reading my book and waiting for the commercials and halftime to come on. But that's why I knew about Jason and Travis. So I would say football or swimming. I love swimming. That's very fun for me to watch. And to be actually physically involved in swimming. I'm a Pisces and I love water. and I am a strong swimmer, and I know every move.
I feel
And I
like
feel like I have the
only
body
one
built for it.
Yeah, I feel like the only one I could physically do without hurting myself now is swimming. Like swimming is the sport that is very low impact, and like if I didn't hate getting my hair wet so much, maybe I would do it more.
Yes. So I was researching. Because I started like swimming in my pool, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to get my hair wet. And they have now like new caps or that you can buy that are truly almost
Yeah, you were telling me
100%
about these.
water. And I know I need to buy one because I would like to use it
Yeah.
because it's 85 degrees today. So
Yeah. I feel like so many people don't understand when you say like you don't want to get your hair wet. They're like, "Oh, you're being like an annoying little girl." And I'm just like, "Dude,
one,
it takes
it's
so
damaging.
long to do my hair."
And it's damaging.
It is. The chlorine is bad.
Yeah.
But also like blowing out your hair and washing your hair when you have long hair is a big fucking to do. It's hard and it's hot and it takes a while, and then to go into the water and destroy it after not a full week of being able to live it after you put in so much effort is so frustrating. That's like so many people just like go and they're done. It's like
Also, another one that we could probably do, I would do archery. Like, I would freaking love to do archery. That would be really fun.
yeah, that does sound fun. Like, I don't know, like, would people consider us doing a sport? Probably not, but it would be fun. Swimming is so much more accepted.
I know. Or golf. I feel like I would get very into golf if it wasn't such
I
like
hate golf. I can't even think about it without being bored.
I was also like for a time, because my god sister had a horse, like I wanted to do like horseback riding and things like that. But that is an intensive sport where you're having to take care of an animal.
Sport. Yes, that is intense. Okay. Katie mentioned that she got into, I think it was Katie who mentioned that she got into tennis because of Carrie Soto. And I just wanted to comment. Yeah, it was Katie. Carrie Soto got me into tennis in a way that like I've never understood tennis before. Like the intricacies of the sport, the stresses of the sport. Like I cared so intensely about it. And I understood it in a way that saw it with such clarity in a way that I've never seen it before. And my mom's played tennis my entire life. I've been explained tennis so many times, but never in such a loving, personal way as you do with Carrie Soto. I love that book so much. Like I can get so into sports if I'm reading about it from a firsthand perspective. Like from like an amazing storyteller. Highly recommend Carrie Soto if anyone's looking for a sports book. It's about this 37-year-old woman who like her whole life was tennis. She was an amazing tennis player, and then she got an injury and she didn't want to like be known, you know, as not as good as she was, because the injury was going to bring her down in like tournaments and stuff. So she retired. And then at 37, someone's going to break her record. So she goes back into the game and she was like, I want to win one more tournament so that I have a higher number of wins and this woman won't break my record. So she has to get back into the game at 37, which is very old for a professional tennis player. And it is so fucking good because while she's getting back into the game, she's also like realizing that this has been her life in such an intense way that she's never been like a person. Like she's never had friends or a real relationship because all she thinks about is tennis and she prioritizes it above everything in her life. Yeah, big anti-hero vibes, Katie says. Definitely. It moved me. And I was bawling reading that. Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, do the audiobook. Dude, it's so good. But yeah, I think that is going to wrap up our sports discussion. Oh, I guess if I had to get into watching something, it would be cheerleading. Sorry. No one's going to consider that a sport, but I love watching cheerleading.
It's such a sport.
Competitive cheerleading is so intense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're going to move right into Mary. Oh, what?
Is like racing it like NASCAR?
Oh, yeah, track.
Is that not track?
Yeah, no.
Like
NASCAR and F1 and all that. That's definitely a sport.
That's a sport. My dad. That's what my dad was into. He was so into that, but he never shared it with us.
I've learned so much about it by just listening to like the Armchair Expert podcast because Dax is so into it, and it's intensive. And a lot of people I know have gotten into F1 lately because of the documentary, because it brings you in with backstories about the people. And then everyone gets super into race car driving from it. So you can watch that, and I'm sure it would bring you in because my friend Julia, I've never seen her into anything like she's into Formula One now.
What is it again? The documentary?
It's like the documentary's called like Formula. Does anyone know what the documentary is called? The Formula One documentary. Is it called like Formula One? Drive to Survive. That's it. Drive to Survive. Watch that.
Yeah. Oh my God. That completely left my mind because I think you said something about Alex was very into NASCAR and he was Jeff Gordon one year for Halloween. I do now remember that.
Yeah. That's huge right now. And like a lot of celebrities are watching Drive to Survive and getting into Formula One. Like Julia's like, yeah, I get up at 6 a.m. to watch the Formula One races. And I'm like, who are you? All right. Let's move into Mary Kiscliff.
All right. Olympians here.
Yes, I have some Olympians for you today. So Mary Kiscliff, Shaun White, Shawn Johnson, or Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps was such a scandal, I feel like, throughout my high school years with his pot. Like, didn't he have like pot in his pee or something? Didn't he get in trouble for pot?
I don't remember. I do remember like some in like Brazil, some of the U.S. swimmers like got in trouble by like
I think that
going
was
out
more recently, right?
That was recent. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there was something in like 2007, 2006 with Michael Phelps smoking pot. But Ryan Lochte did have issues too. Yeah.
He was cute.
Well, Michael Phelps was like a heartthrob in my high school. Like I didn't like him because
I didn't like him.
I don't but like I had friends who were obsessed with him and his abs.
Okay. I will probably, let's see. I'm probably going to cliff Michael Phelps.
Me too.
Yeah. I'll probably marry Shaun White because he's a California boy and he's also with Nina Dobrev and he's fun. And then I'm going to kiss Shawn Johnson so that she can stay with her lovely family.
I love her family. I follow them on Instagram and they're so cute. I would do the same thing. Oh, Melissa's going to marry Shawn Johnson and kiss Shaun White. I thought about that, but like Shawn has so many kids and she's so happy with her husband. And I feel like I'd rather just kiss her and have fun with Shaun White.
Yes. I agree with
Shaun White seems really cool. I've listened to him talk a lot now because he was on the Armchair Expert pod.
Oh.
You listen to an episode of Armchair Expert with like any celebrity and you just like feel like you know them so deeply because you've never heard them talk about their life in such an intimate way.
Growing up, that's all we watched. There was Shaun White, Shawn Johnson, and Michael Phelps. Like, those were our American heroes.
They really were. They were like the big three of the Olympics growing up. All right. So this week in ACMAF, we had 4 chapters because chapters 25, 26, and 27 were like very short. So we're going to move right into that. If you don't know, we've been reading A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas a little bit every week and deep diving. Here we go.
Okay, chapter 24. This is coming right after Feyre and the Bat Boys flew into the human
Bat
lands.
Boys. I literally think of baseball when you say Bat Boys. I'm like, what?
I have a shirt that says Bat Boys, so that's why I say it.
I know.
They flew into the human lands, and they are asking Feyre's sisters if they can use the Archeron Chateau as a meeting place with the queens from the continent, the human queen from the continent.
The 5 human queens, yes.
Yes. So Elaine gets the house cleared out pretty quickly. And when I said Archeron Chateau, I want to talk about how Feyre in this chapter says she hasn't used that last name since she killed that first rabbit. So it's very foreign to her. But this is her family's house.
What first rabbit? You mean back when she was 14?
Yes, when she decided that she didn't want to starve anymore, and so she's going to start hunting for everyone. What?
I was just thinking that what does she mean by use? I guess she doesn't introduce herself as Feyre Archeron.
No, she doesn't. So they get the house cleared out of all of its servants. They get the boys in. And she's like kind of looking at them with new eyes. And she's like, yeah, they're huge, they're wild, and they're ancient. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I'm so happy that I chose the biggest room, which is the dining room, for them all to meet. And she realizes the last time she was here, she was in love and ready to end her life for Tamlin. But then immediately reconciles that he changed and he's someone that who could not accept this new her.
She thinks about for a second that there is good in Tamlin. He wasn't all bad. But he couldn't. He changed more than her after what happened to them under the mountain. Or was affected by it more than her.
Yeah. And she's also thinking about her sister's mortality, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
And how they will grow old soon. I mean, not that soon, but
she
how
says
they will.
That they'll their fragile lives will be blown out like a flame by a cold wind or something.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
It is. But she's I can make the best of the little time they have.
Well, also this chapter kind of made me realize how fucking old Rhys is. He's so old, and yet he acts not old. It's a weird conundrum. But it did make me look at him with new eyes. Nesta, so they bring the boys in, Nesta and Elaine are visibly on edge. Nesta steps in front of Elaine and clenches her fist, and both their hearts are beating very fast. And Feyre's like, even Nesta's heart is beating fast. Rhys thanks them for their hospitality, and Nesta says nothing. Doesn't say you're welcome. Nice to meet you. Elaine says nice to meet you, and then Nesta's like, well, there's food on the table, so let's go eat. And she sits at the head of the table. And Feyre's to one.
Doesn't she say something well, you better prepare yourself for way more intense prejudices than us? Because when the queens come, they're going to hate you.
Oh, I guess she does. I don't remember that. So Feyre sits on one side, Elaine the other. Cassian is on Elaine's other side, and then Rhys is next to Feyre, and then Az is next to Rhys.
And Cassian and Nesta go at it.
Yes. When the boys walked in, Cassian was grimacing, and Rhys's brows were raised, and Asriel looked like he didn't want to be there. And then this is the first time I'm also realizing that wings don't work with human chairs, that they're usually sitting on stools. I'm like, how fucking uncomfortable. Isn't your back spasming?
Well, no, they have chairs made for wings in their court. Yeah, but she thinks about how she should have gotten them stools here because they don't have chairs like that.
Yeah. This is the first time she's also eating human food since she turned. And she says the food tastes like ash. And like, it sounds good. What is like prepared for them?
It does.
Like salmon and like roasted chicken and whipped potatoes and turnips and carrots. I think there's other things. And the boys like are just eating it, and she's like, bleh. And Nesta notices, and she's like, "Is our food not good for you?"
Like, not good enough for you anymore.
And she's like, Net and Feyre is just getting heated because now it's like the tone, you know, they kind of figured out their issues, but then the tone gets her, the disgust, the disapproval just sets her off. And Feyre responds in like a very cutthroat manner. She goes, "I can eat, drink, fuck, and fight better than before." And I'm like, wow, careful of Elaine's ears here.
Precious sister.
Yes. And so like Feyre's blood is boiling, and then Rhys through the bond calms her, and Feyre's like, wait, I'm gonna put my mental shields up. And then she goes and she's like, they're already up, but there's a reason why Rhys can get through. Okay, but and then oh my god, this is then Nesta and Cassian get into it. I totally forgot about this, but he's just like looking at her, and then she looks at him and she's like, "What?" And he like, what does he say to her? Oh, he starts supporting Feyre and calling out Nesta for not taking care of her younger sister, and having her go out and hunt for them, and telling her that
close to the wall.
Yes, and that so close to the wall, and that she died for his people and became Fae, and it's not her fault for turning and not liking this fucking food on the table. So like, calm down. She
didn't have a choice.
Yeah, she didn't have a choice. And then Nesta looks at him and disregards him. Doesn't even like acknowledge anything, or like ask for forgiveness, or ask or say sorry. She's just so prideful.
Defends Nesta too. She's like,
both
it wasn't just her fault. It was me too. We failed Feyre together.
Yeah, and she's like, to me, this feels like when you're at like a family gathering and someone is on opposing sides of politics, and you're like, well, why do you care about this? Why do you care about that? And like Elaine smooths it over by saying it's just hard for them to accept. And like Feyre notes the iron ring on her finger, and she's like, iron doesn't work against fairies, and the only reason why you have it is because there's, you know, people who absolutely hate fairies that you're marrying into. And Elaine says that they failed her when they were younger, and that she is sorry. Then Cassian's mood a little bit changes, and he taunts Nesta with a grin. And Feyre's like, "Can we just start over, please?" So then Elaine, moves the conversation along, and she asks Azriel about flying, and he kind of goes into explanation about that. And when Azriel's like, "We are different types of fairies than Rhys, like we are Illyrian," and this has always been so funny to me. When Azriel said fairies, I'm like, ew. Like, I kind of got an ick, because I feel like fairies, like, I remember Sarah talking to you, or in an interview somewhere, like she wanted to write a book about fairies because she loved the elves from Lord of the Rings. And I feel like her fairies are more like the elves in Lord of the Rings. And I feel like her lore is very different. Like, it's just closer to the way elves are than what fairies are. So I'm like,
yeah, it's not your classic YA fairy.
No. And I wish she had.
They call themselves fae a lot.
Fae, yeah, instead of just Azriel saying fairies. Nessa's like, well, you look like them, and like, why are you not? And Az then clarifies, that, and that they are lesser fairies to everyone else. And that anyone else who is not a high fae is a lesser fairy, and the term is used for ease but masks bloody history, and they're trying to move away from that. Well, they try. I think Reese is wearing a crown, right? I think
I didn't clock that.
I don't know, but there was something about how she kept looking at their jewelry and their crown or something like that.
I thought she kept like, I thought she noted just like the power. Because Ferris has this thing about how he was like dulling the power that usually roils off of him, but you could still like, you know that
feel it.
He's still, you can't mask how extraordinary he is and how powerful he is with his like violet sparkling eyes and all that shit.
Yes. So Nessa's like, okay, well, write your letter to the queens and we'll send it off tomorrow, and that they will be staying the night, and they ask for 2 bedrooms, 2 beds right next to each other. And then they all stay up till midnight reviewing the letter, and they go off to bed. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait, are we gonna have like one bed because like they have to stay next to
later.
I know. But they get into the
sexy
bedroom.
one bed scene. I'm excited for it.
They get into the room with the one bed because it was right next to the room with 2 beds, and he ends up like magicking a bed for him to sleep on, and then he magicked night clothes for her, and Feyre comes back and her bed's all warm, the room's warm, and she's like, thank you for warming the bed, and Reese goes like, Amarantha never thanked him for
never thanked me for that.
I'm like, oh, please don't bring that up.
Bellamy. Thank you.
And then, okay. Reese is actually paying wages to Feyre, and that he's paying her the same wage that everyone else gets in the circle, or his group of friends.
His inner circle.
His inner circle.
Yeah.
And he has already a bank account set up for her, and she has credit at all the stores if she doesn't have enough. And she's like, well,
I was like, this is so nice. He set up all the annoying things that you have to do when you get a new job or something and you've never had one before.
Yeah.
Well, she already has a bank account.
Like it's giving her back her
freedom.
Her freedom, because like when you don't have money, you have to rely on someone. I mean, like he is paying her, but like at least it's for things, for going to his sisters and doing these tasks and training.
Yeah,
she is doing work for him.
Yeah.
And then he asked when her birthday is, and it's the winter solstice, and he's like, oh, that
December
passed
21st.
months ago. Yeah. And she's like, I didn't really want to bother anyone.
She was like, do I even count my birthdays anymore? It's like, obviously.
Yes. And then they kind of joke about who would win in a duel with Nesta and Cassian, and they're like, our money's on Nesta. And that was the end of end of the chapter.
Yeah. And then the next morning, Feyre and Rysand are taking the day off, and see, Feyre says this thing, I'm not sure what chapter it's in, but she says something about her life being miserable enough already. Like she wouldn't be a gossip. Oh, yeah. Okay. So Rysand makes this crack about like how the drama between Elaine and how she shouldn't be marrying the guy who hates Faye because Feyre won't even be invited to the wedding. And she's like, you're one to talk with so much drama going on with your friends. And he's like, what are you referring to? And she's like, do you not see how Azriel looks at Mor and how Cassian acts as a constant buffer between them?
Yes, that happens in my chapter.
Yeah.
There's just so much stuff.
Yeah, and Rysand's like, I wouldn't mention that around them. And she's like, what do you think I am? Some sort of gossip? My life's miserable enough already. I'm not going to go around making other people's life more miserable. And Reese is like hurt by this. He's like, is your life miserable? And she's like, I don't know. Things have been happening so fast. I haven't even been able to really think about it. And he's like, all right, maybe we should take a day off. Maybe you need a day off. So the next day, he takes her into the forest, just far enough away from the house that like it's not in danger if she practices training her abilities. And he puts down a giant candle and he says, light the candle, douse it with water, and then dry the wick. And she's like, ugh, I don't know how to do that. How about I do shielding? And he's like, no, time to try something different. Do you want to try shape-shifting? And she thinks about how she might never want to try shape-shifting because that's Tamlin's power and she doesn't want anything to do with him right now. So she's like, fine, I'll do the candle, but I can't do it with you looking at me. I can't concentrate with you around. And, you know, because she's having feelings for him, basically. He's distracting her because she likes him and all that stuff. So she's like, go away. And he's like, shout down the tattoo if you need me. And she looks at the eye on her hand. She's like, really? Just yell at the tattoo and you'll come? And he's like, rub it against some of your parts and I might come faster. And she's like, oh my God. And so he goes away. She works for like an hour on this fucking candle and nothing happens. So she decides to look in the pack that she packed to go with her today, and there's like a magically heated bowl of stew in there, and there's a note in there from Ricin, and it's like, I'm bored. Have you made any progress? And she's like, she writes back, like a pen appears, and this is so cute. I love this back and forth with the notes. And she says no, and he says that you've stuck me here watching Cassian and Nesta go at it again while they drink tea. And he compliments her on her handwriting, and she calls him a shameless flirt because he says like life is better with you in it. And she's waiting like for his response, like all excited and kind of giddy while she says like you're a shameless flirt, and then she gets attacked by the adder. The adder comes out of nowhere, and the adder in the graphic audio has, like I said, the most creepy ass voice I've ever heard. It scared me. And he grabs her and brings her up in the air, and Feyre's just screaming like she's overcome with panic. In this moment, again, the panic swallows up her ability to think clearly. Like she can't remember how strong she is or that she has these different tools, these new tools at her disposal to hopefully help her. And it only takes seconds for Rysand to show up and help her. And he pins the adder to this tree just using ribbons of night and kind of tortures him, asking him questions about, you know, why he's here. And he's here because Hybern ordered him to bring him Feyre. And he says, why do you want her? And he's like, I don't know, I was just ordered. And he's like, how many troops do you have? And he's like, so many, endless, they're everywhere, you can't beat us, basically. And I forgot to mention that Rysand does show Feyre a map of his territory, which he only showed her a blank map earlier because Tamlin was still getting information from her. So he wants to show her that he trusts her. So she also gets a map of where the Illyrians are and all that stuff. Anyway, So the adder is captured by Rhys. Azriel shows up to take care of the adder and get him out of here. And Rysand goes like, if you attack her again, I will kill you first and ask questions later. And Rysand kind of, you know, he calls Feyre a member of his court, and she's touched by that, like that she's a part of something, like a part of this family. But then she realizes that she was used as bait. Like Rysand left her there to see who would be swooping in to capture her the moment she was alone. And she gets so pissed off. Like, and Rysand is kind of taking advantage of, like, when she gets angry, he's like, okay, I want to keep teasing her because this is going to allow her to tap into her powers, because that's how she's tapped into them into the past. He's like, yeah, you forgot that you had all these powers when you were attacked, and I needed to see who would come and attack you. And she pushes him, and she's so strong, and then he starts winnowing away as she tries to like attack him further, like right out of reach, and she's just boiling, and she winnows. She was like, I don't know how to turn myself into dust and smoke and stars. But then she's just like getting so mad and wanting to do it so much that it happens. And she lands on top of him. And that's like chapter 27. She lands on top of Reese, and he's like smiling wickedly at her because he's excited that she was able to winnow. And she's just like, don't ever use me as bait again. And she says that you said I could be a weapon. Teach me to become one. Don't use me as a pawn. And I really like that because it's just using someone as bait without telling them is just obnoxious. Like, you could easily tell her. If you trusted her, just tell her. Like, and then she's not bait. She is the trap. The trap is her, instead of her being unknowing bait and feeling like a fool because she's not in on it. And he says, fair enough. And he apologizes. Like, he tries to make things better. Like, he didn't realize how upset this would make her, basically. He's like, show me how you did it. Show me how you winnowed. And she's like, no, I want to go back. And he's like, I'm sorry. Like, I just basically apologizes. And she's like, I don't know how often he says that. Probably not much. And she asks, why do the king wants her? Does he know that she can nullify the power of the cauldron with the book? And Rysand says, that's what I'm going to find out. He apologizes again. He's like, let's go back to the chateau and then we'll go home to Valaris. And she goes, Valaris isn't my home. And hurt flashes across his face. Like, she cuts him with that one. He really wants her to feel like she's a part of his family. And she has a home and she's happy.
Well, then he needs to tell her when he has things planned, because it was like they were having this cute little back and forth, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I'm like, oh no, the adder has her. And I'm like, yes, Reese coming to rescue. And I'm like, oh, fuck you. You had it all planned the whole time. And the way that when she was trying to winnow, it kind of reminded, like, in my mind, it looked like the Flash when everything's going slow, because she's like, everything slowed down and she saw where he was going to be. And I'm like, oh, this is like Quicksilver, the Flash type of thing in my head. Is very cinematic. And then, like, she was on top of him.
Like, I was seeing the actual winnowing like they portrayed disapparating in movie 5 with like the smoke clouds.
Yes,
that's
me
not
too.
how disapparating works. But like, yeah, in the movie, there's these like smoke clouds, and that's what it felt like.
Also, she, I think, realizes at one point, she's like, wait, was Tamlin right? Was I just not safe the entire time? Is this only because like I'm in the human lands?
Yeah. She's like, is there a semblance of truth to what he was saying about my safety? And he's like, yeah, obviously. But, you know, there's a semblance of truth, but he was overreacting big time. But that is, those are our chapters today. We are moving fast now. I feel like 4 chapters.
I was like, why are there 4?
Because basically we're doing an hour an episode, like an hour of the audiobook. So that's what added up to an hour this week. And next week, I think the chapter 28 is 20 minutes. So we'll probably do another 20-minute chunk of the audiobook. I don't know what it'll be, but probably 2 chapters. We'll see. But that is our show. This is Those Forking Fangirls. Thank you so much for joining us this week. If you haven't yet, you can follow us on Instagram at Those Forking Fangirls for updates whenever a new episode is posted and whenever we're planning new things where we want to include input from y'all. It will be on the Instagram. We release new episodes every Friday. My name's Christine.
I'm Natasha.
Our podcast is edited by Alex Polis and Jake Needham, with music by Cole Jenkins and vocals by Heather Troska. And we will see y'all next week. We're off to go record this week's Fangirl Tea Time. We've got some more sports, a little bit more personal sports questions to think about, and we're going to be talking about what we're up to. It's going to be a fun time. So we'll see you there if you're a patron. Bye, y'all.
Bye.